The Canadian Football League is the world's largest Canadian football league, unsurprisingly. And it has a vast array of stadiums, most of which are incredible. So with that being said, let's get into it. Here are the CFL 2021 stadiums. Starting off with Tim Hortons Field, or the Coffee Grounds as a small minority of people call it. It's home to the Hamilton Ticats, or Tiger Cats if you want to be more formal. But I said Ticats because I haven't got time to say Tiger Cats in full. I have to keep it slick, you know? And that 0.2 of a second, although it seems small, it really helps the video just keep moving quickly, you know what I mean? And not like stagnating or anything like that. Anyway, it's an interesting design, this one, completely open at both ends, which allows plenty of opportunity for rooftop viewing from the surrounding buildings, if you happen to have a pair of binoculars on hand. It does look vaguely similar to a few college football stadiums. The big question you might be asking is there a Tim Hortons here? Yes, of course there is. But according to one person on TripAdvisor, it's not a very good one. Something about no French vanilla, or I don't know. So forget about Tim Hortons and visit Canada's largest outdoor bar, the Stipley. Percival Molson Memorial Stadium, home to the Montreal Alouettes. I remember the first time I ever watched a CFL game on TV. I must have bumped the remote or something and the screen switched from SpongeBob pissing off Squidward again to this beautiful stadium here. And I said, Canadian Football League. But those buildings in the background look like somewhere in Europe. I thought Canadian cities looked similar to American cities. And well, they do. That just happens to be a particularly interesting looking medical center building place. Sorry to use a technical term. Anyway, to the stadium itself now. It's over 100 years old, but it doesn't look a day over 60, and that's due to the numerous facelifts it's had over the years. You may have noticed that due to the running track, the corners of the end zones are cut off. But I actually think it looks good, and it presumably makes very little difference to the players. TD Place Stadium, home to the Ottawa Red Blacks. I'm beginning to think that nobody in Canada would be seen dead sitting behind the end zone, because this is the third two-sided stadium in a row, but it's an absolute stunner. For starters, it's not a bad location overlooking the canal. Also, the exterior of each stand is completely different, but they both look incredible. On the inside, fittingly, the seats are red and black. Although it looks very modern, this stadium is actually older than the last one. Technically. It obviously has been completely rebuilt since then. I don't think this kind of architecture was around in 1908. BMO Field, home to the Toronto Argonauts. We've still yet to come across a four-sided stadium, but I'm not complaining, they've been great so far. And this is another beauty. It's located a stone's throw from Lake Ontario. Interestingly, it initially cost just $69 million to build, but under a decade later, it was expanded for a cost more than twice that. But it wasn't just an increase in capacity, they also added the roof canopies. It looks much better now, but one downside is that it blocks the view of the Toronto skyline that it once had. BC Place, home to the BC Lions. This impressive piece of architecture initially opened as an air-supported dome, which met an untimely end. But that may have been for the best. The new steel cable-supported retractable roof looks and works a lot better. On the inside is a pretty good looking symmetrical double-tiered design. It looks very similar to Deutsche Bank Park in Germany and Arena Națională in Romania. It too has a suspended video board, it's just a lot bigger. McMahon Stadium, home to the Calgary Stampeders. It's a very bare-bones stadium, like a cross between Molson Stadium and Tim Hortons Field. The seating is made up of a mix of bucket seating and bench seating. Although it's lacking in certain aspects, it makes up for it with far more important things like a touchdown horse, and even more importantly, the world's fastest cow. I know that a lot of people think that cows are slow, but they can actually move, especially the younger ones. So to have the world's fastest cow is quite impressive. Although, since when do cows walk on two legs? Commonwealth Stadium, home to the Edmonton football team. In case you were wondering about the lack of a nickname, it's a similar story to the Washington Redskins. They used to be called the Eskimos. This one is the biggest of the bunch. As the name suggests, it was originally built for the Commonwealth Games, and thus is burdened with a running track around the field. Well, space for one. I can't actually see it. The original design was based on Jack Trice Stadium in Iowa, although it looks significantly different these days. I really like those green and yellow mosaic seats, but they are a fairly recent addition. They were added in 2012 at a cost of $12 million. Well worth it. Mosaic Stadium, home to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The newest of the CFL Stadiums. It was built to replace the old Mosaic Stadium, which had one of the most unusual designs going around. In a good way, I guess. The new Mosaic Stadium's design features a very distinctive roof canopy, and overall, it's a stunning stadium both inside and out. Although, it's a bit of a missed opportunity. On the last stadium, you saw that they had green and yellow mosaic seating. This stadium could have had green and white mosaic seating, not just for the play on words, but it would have looked good as well. But mostly for the play on words, it seems obvious. And finally, IG Stadium, home to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You may have noticed that it shares a lot of similarities to Seattle's Lumen Field, which is obviously a good thing, it being one of the better NFL stadiums. But it's newer, so there are some things that they've done better. The main thing being that the roofs are crinkle cut to allow for more flavour and crunch. It wasn't always going to have this design though. Original plans included an inflatable roof, which you can understand why they'd want an indoor stadium. I hear Canadians say that Winnipeg is cold, so it must be a whole different level of cold. And those were the Canadian Football League stadiums for 2021. If you enjoyed the video and are interested in stadiums, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, have a good one.